warn the inhabitants of said town qualified to vote in elections and town affairs to meet at the Pioneer Valley Regional School Auditorium, 97F, Summer Turner Road, Northfield, Massachusetts, Wednesday, the 29th day of April, 2026, at 7 o'clock in the evening to conduct the annual business meeting, then and there to act upon the following articles. After the printing or recitation of some 38 articles, there's a return of service. Here I fail not and make due return of this notice with your doings thereon to the town clerk at the time and place of said meeting aforesaid, given under our hands this 15th day of April in the year of 2026, signed by the selectmen. And a return of service by Constable Peter Shedd on April 16th, 2026, that he had complied with the requirement that he post notice at the Bernardston Town Hall, the Bernardston Post Office, Marshall's Country Store, Bernardston Senior Center, and the town website. And that return of service is signed April 16th, which is more than 7 days that were required. And therefore, I declare that this constitutes a valid meeting, a special annual town meeting, and we will proceed. We will start with the Pledge Allegiance to the flag, so if you could all stand if you're able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and justice for all. Okay, a couple preliminary matters. First, I will ask everybody at the in the seats facing you to identify themselves, starting with my left.
Justin Duncan.
And your
415 Fox Hill Road.
and
Tammy
your
Powell.
office.
Finance Committee.
Tammy Powell, 263 Martindale Road, Finance Committee.
Jane Dutcher, 52 Shaw Road, Finance Committee.
Donna McNichol, Town Council.
Christina Slocum-Wist, Town Clerk.
Brian Keir, Select Board.
Ken Bordeweek, Select Board.
Brian Herview, Select Board.
Lou Bordeaux, Town Administrator.
Okay, thank you. And next, the sound engineer wanted to say a few words about the mechanics, if he's still here. Here he comes.
Sound mechanic, I like that title. Okay, so just for the folks up there with those gooseneck mics, just make sure to pull it close. They're very directional, so if they're kind of pointing up or pointing to the side of your face, it's going to make a huge difference for not just folks in here, but also for the recording, so make sure to pull it close only when you have something to say. You don't have to have it near you all the time. And for any kind of questions or comments, come up to these mics. If you notice, it makes a huge difference if you're standing to the side or standing really far back, but if you're really up to the mic, then people can really hear you a lot better, so just make sure to do that. They're always on. You don't have to touch them, but if you're taller or shorter, please feel free to move them as you need it. They can handle that, but that's about it. That'll just help me with the recording and the live broadcast.
Okay, thank you. And my own addition on the question of sound, being more of a Luddite than a mechanic, but anybody who has a cell phone, please put it on airplane mode. We do not want to be interrupted by that. And finally, on question of seating, you'll notice that the people to my far left, those seats are supposed to be for people who are not residents of the town. And therefore, when any vote is taken, we're not apt to look there if you are a resident. So if you're a resident, you should be sitting in the middle. The people on the right, I don't know if any of you are not residents of the town, but if you are, you should be sitting on my left. This is partially due to the fact we ran out of the wristbands, so we're using what town council quaintly calls the honor system, and expect that the people who are residents and are able to vote are either sitting in the middle or on my right. Okay, that concludes the preliminary matters. We'll now proceed to the articles at hand. Article 1, to act upon the reports of the town clerk, town treasurer, select board, school committees, all other town officers and committees as contained in the annual town report of 2025, and A, to hear an oral report from the select board on the status of the charity lot trust fund. So we'll start with that.
Okay, the Charity Farm Lot Trust Fund started calendar year 2025 with a balance of $75,088.98 and ended the calendar year with a balance of $86,000.13.
Okay. Any questions with respect to that report? Seeing none, we'll proceed to B, to hear a report from the six-town regional school planning board on what to expect in the coming months regarding the proposed regionalization. You can use the microphone there if you like, if you identify yourself and.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I didn't know if I needed permission to speak.
No, we can't hear you.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So my name is Alan Genovese, and I've had the pleasure at serving at your discretion as chairperson of the Six-Town Regional Planning Board, who was formed by the towns of Bernardston, Gill, Leiden, Montague, Northfield, and Warwick. So we started our work. By the way, I want to thank you for, I will keep this fairly brief, give you an update, but I want to thank you for that.
You might state what your address is. Are you a resident of Bernardston, or are you?
No, I am not a resident of Bernardston.
Okay, if you can tell us where you,
Right,
where
so
are you from?
I am a resident of Warwick, and I consider myself, since I've been involved in the six towns, that I have such a high interest in what's happening in the towns and what's happening in the schools. So at your direction, we were asked as a planning board to research the feasibility and the sustainability of forming a new regional school district. And I want to point out that members of that, of the planning board, are basically, you know, your friends, your neighbors, they're teachers, retired, inactive, school committee members, and so forth. And they volunteered their time to do this work on your behalf. We started in 2019, and here we are today, finally, with a recommendation that we're going to be bringing forward to you. I just want to point out that, you know, resources, the towns have been very supportive of the schools, and that the planning board is very appreciative and acknowledges and recognizes the superintendent and the school committee for the work that they're doing with the resources they have for providing a quality education to the students. So we've applauded their efforts as well as the other towns and the other school districts. The problem that we're facing and we're trying to address is the declining enrollment. And this just isn't just happening here. Statewide, they've been losing students over the years, over the past 20 years. And we look just at Franklin County, our student population over the last 20 years is around 4,000 students less than we had back then. So when you have fewer students, it creates an issue in terms of funding, because you have minimum aid that comes in from the state, and you also have required contributions that you have as a town. So you're spending those resources, and the students over time, my daughter was here in 1994, and what the school could offer then and offer now are significantly different. So we're trying to address that challenge. Years ago, quite a few years ago, the towns took a leap of faith and you created this school district, and it served the districts well for a very long time. They did it when populations were exploding. You had a lot of towns coming together for affordability and for the economy of scales to offer services and programs to students. Ironically, here we are 75 years later or so, and we're in the opposite situation where those districts that came together to form larger districts are now fairly small. If you look at the high school back in 2012, the population of the high school was 343 students. Today it's a little over 107 students. So it does have an impact on how many programs and services you can offer. And those of us that have been living in these communities for the past 20 years, we've seen the reductions in staff and in programs for kids. And we've seen the increases that we've all experienced in terms of trying to fund the schools. So there is a handout, or was a handout, if there were any left, on the back table that explains the reasons for the planning board recommending regionalization. If this were to happen, there would be a new school committee that would be appointed by the select boards in each town and the school committee representatives from that town. And they would work over the next 2 years in order to put together the formation and all of the things that are necessary to form a district which would become operational in 2028. A quick update, the information in your really nice annual town report, that's pretty impressive. It's a little outdated because the publication deadline was in February. So I just want to bring you up to speed on a couple things that are different, and then that's all I want to share. Probably the most important difference is that when we were putting this report together, we were looking at a special town meeting, and we had actually a resident in Bernardston felt that a little disenfranchised that one town, which was Montague, because they have representative government, they had all day to go to the polls and vote, and the other 5 towns had that fixed time for people to go to the vote. And the concern was raised that that's not convenient. If something comes up, you can't get there, and they should have the same opportunity. There's a bill right now that is moving through the House and the Senate. It's passed in one, I think it was the Senate, goes through the House, and then that bill would be to allow all of the towns to vote on a ballot question at the polls on whether or not you want to form a new regional school district. So that's one change that we were not aware of. We were waiting to see if that was going to happen. Another is that when we started our work, the 5 towns were coming together, and it was 2 regional school districts. It was the Gil-Montague Regional School District, the Pioneer Regional School District. Since then, we had Warwick stepped out, and they are now a municipal district. So in working with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, it took quite a bit of extra time because that's never been done before. So we have there will be 2 ballot questions. One will be forming a 6th town, which would be all the towns that I just mentioned in the beginning of this. The other would be 5 towns, would be the towns without Warwick in it. So that would get us back to originally, if that's what the voters decide. We will, if there's not a vote at the polls, then it would be done during your normal process at a special town meeting, and you'd vote in that forum. I think I've covered the major points. I really respect, no matter how you decide this, when you do go to the polls, I think a couple of things did come out of it. We have the state recognizing that it's more than just a funding issue. It's also a decline issue in population. And we have people now talking more about the impact of declining enrollment on students than when we began this process back in 2019. So I thank you for your patience and for your consideration, and I appreciate the opportunity that I had to speak with you. So have a great town meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay, Okay, seeing none, we'll proceed to subpart 3 to hear a report from the Select Board. Yeah.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. We gather here to make crucial decisions that will shape the well-being and sustainability of our town. This is where we will collectively make decisions to finalize the town's FY27 budget. This privilege is shared with many New England states where we openly come together, voice our thoughts and concerns, and most importantly, vote on our town's annual budget and suggested bylaw changes. Some highlights of the past year include Bernardston, along with its numerous partners, working through a mid-year 20% increase in employee health insurance rates. Partners such as the Pioneer Valley Regional School District, the Franklin Regional Council of Governments, and the Franklin County Solid Waste District, amongst others, diligently absorbed this unplanned, unbudgeted increase without seeking additional funds from the town, understanding that the town was also working to manage this increase. This also resulted in a mid-year increase in our town employees' pocketbooks. Bernardston and Leiden, with the help of grant monies, continued to explore shared services between the two towns and the potential efficiencies that could enhance service delivery and reduce costs. This work is nearing completion and we will share more updates on this front as we get the process completed. One of the key discussions during these joint Bernardston and Leiden meetings is the very real possibility of Bernardston providing fire services to the town of Leiden for a fee. This arrangement may follow a similar model to the successful shared police services, where Bernardston provides police services to Leiden for a fee. The third year of this shared police service is coming to an end in June, and we hope to renew this agreement. We are optimistic that an agreement on fire services can be reached by the start of fiscal year 27 on the 1st of July. The Select Board would like to express its deepest gratitude to the Finance Committee for their unwavering dedication and countless hours of volunteer work throughout the year. Their efforts have been instrumental in ensuring that our town maintains a balanced budget. This year, the task was particularly challenging as we had to make significant cuts amounting to around $300,000 to achieve this balanced budget. We would also want to extend our heartfelt thanks to all the hardworking town employees and volunteers who contribute to the various boards and committees. Without their invaluable support, our town would not function smoothly. Additionally, we'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the exceptional service provided by the police, fire, and highway crews during the severe storms we experienced this last winter. Their prompt response to every call for help and their unwavering commitment to maintaining safe roadways have made a significant difference in our community. In closing, we would like to express our thanks to Karen Kelly, our recently departed town administrator, for her unwavering dedication and hard work, having been instrumental in shaping the trajectory of our town. While she has earned well-deserved time with her family and friends, we wish her very best in future endeavors. As we move forward tonight, we encourage everyone to engage in thoughtful and respectful discussions. The decisions made tonight will have a profound impact on our town's operations, our schools, and our individual finances as reflected in our upcoming tax bills. Let's foster an environment of lively yet civil dialogue, and remember that it's perfectly acceptable to hold differing opinions from our friends and neighbors. Ultimately, let's strive to leave the meeting as friends. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll ask for a report from the Finance Committee Chair regarding the fiscal year 27 town budget.
Peter.
Do you want someone else to read it, Jane?
Just sit for a minute. I'll go.
And that's the entertainment for tonight. I was going to say first, thank you, Jeff. I want to introduce the other members of the Finance Committee, but you have already met them, so I won't do that over again. Finance Committee wants to acknowledge the help we received from our treasurer, Susan Bobby, and from our accounting team under the direction of Elizabeth Braccia. Also, we are committed to acknowledging a very committed participation from our select board during this very challenging year of developing this budget. I told everybody more than once during Finance Committee meetings that I had stayed on the committee 1 year too long. Somebody else should have had to handle this. We started in January with a total budget that was $177,801 in the red. We've managed to cut that number down by judicious review of every single budget that came across our desks, and with the cooperation of the people who submitted those budgets in taking cuts. So that tonight we're coming to you with a surplus of a whole $154,269. That doesn't mean that you won't see an increase in your tax bill, because you will, and it will be over $1 a thousand. That's the way the budget is being presented tonight. Any changes you make to it will change that up or down. Changes in the budget compared to the current year are, if you want to look at your warrant on page 3, Article 5, Table 1, the assistant town clerk's hours have been increased by 2 hours. And this was a compromise because they asked for 4 hours. The change in the elections registration line is because there are more elections this coming year. There's a primary to start with, and I can't list all of them. Other people can, and you can ask them to do that. On that same page, near the bottom, you'll see that we reduced the reserve fund allocation by $100,000. On page 5, Table 2 contains tuition for a student who has applied to Smith Vocational. It does not include any transportation because the family has said they will take care of the transportation. State law says towns need to pay that, but this family says no, no way. So we thank them for that. Also in that article is $10,000 for door replacements at the Bernardston Elementary School. And this is only one of the capital items that was asked for at the elementary school. But it was the one that we felt was the most important, and we did not feel that we could afford all of the items that they asked for. On page 7, there are 2 items from PVRS, proposed capital projects, that are missing. $10,200 to replace the kitchen exterior door, and $6,000 to replace emergency exit lights. It does not change the total. These were just omitted in the list in error. Article 9 on page 7 and continuing to page 9 covers contracted services over which we have very little control. On page 9, you will see the changes to the health insurance costs. The town, with concurrence of our employees, is changing the medical insurance carrier to GIC. This has required each employee to select new coverage because GIC doesn't offer the same things that the trust offered. Our actual expenditures in FY26 will exceed the appropriation that you see in that column that's labeled 26 by approximately $35,000. And that goes back to Brian's reference of the 20% increase in insurance coverage that came along in October. The $35,000 is not all of it, doesn't cover all of the increase, because we always budget for one more family plan in case we hire someone new during the year who signs on to insurance, and we have to cover that. So to protect ourselves, we always budget for more than our actual cost of insurance, and that got used up first. And then on top of that, we have the $35,000. If there are questions about that when we come to that article, please ask them. In Table 6, which starts on page 9, contributions of getting from red to black that I mentioned earlier. The fire department agreed to put on a hold paving of the parking area around the new fire station. The highway department agreed to level fund snow and ice budget. And the tree warden is foregoing his request for 3 additional days for FY27. There were other contributors also across this budget, but these are the ones with the highest dollar figures, so they're the ones I'm citing. And all apologies, but great thanks to everybody else who contributed to savings. The remaining money articles are fairly standard with a couple of exceptions. Article 26, and I didn't write down the page, is for $70,000, and it's to establish insurance runoff fund. This is necessary in order to cover any lapse that may occur because of the change of insurance carriers. And if you want an explanation of that, we'll schedule another meeting. Article 28 and 29 are both subject to a Proposition 2.5 exclusion, which is a vote at the polls, and that date and time will be selected by the town clerk and the select board if these articles are passed. The other exception is Article 20, painting the clock tower, which will be explained when we get to that article tonight. The total of all the articles in this warrant is $8,034,719.35. After adding our best estimate for state charges and abatements, and then deducting all the transfers and best estimates for cherry sheet and local receipts, and I'm going to come back to cherry sheet in a minute, the total left to be raised by property tax is $5,914,618.25, an increase from last year of approximately $463,730. All this information is on page 2 of the handout available as you registered. The handout looked like this. And all those numbers that I just read you are here on the back page. And I said I was going to come back to cherry sheet. When we started this process, we had a number from the governor for our cherry sheet contribution from the state. The House has now taken their vote, and we have less money than the governor projected. We have yet to see what the Senate will provide. And after the Senate, there will be a meeting of the House and the Senate to come up with a joint suggestion, and then it'll go back to the governor for signature. So we're a long way off from knowing what our cherry sheet numbers will be, but they're not headed in the right direction right now. Thank you for your attention, and finally, let me just say that Tammy and Justin and I would love to have 2 more members on the Finance Committee. Come and join us. We're a lot of fun.
Thank you. I will add to that we have a crisis in terms of participation in town government. I'm told that for the election that's being held on May 4th, there is one and only one candidate for each of the positions. Nobody is running for any of those offices or opposing the people who are in the offices. As Jane said, there are 2 vacancies in the Finance Committee, and it's my prerogative as moderator to appoint members of the Finance Committee. And I would love to have anybody who has any interest in getting involved in town government to contact me, care of the town hall, and express an interest in this or several of the other committees that we have that have, at this point, not enough members. The people in the Finance Committee work very hard. They need help. And I would call on you to consider being involved in town government. So with that, I'll entertain a vote to accept the reports, both in the annual town report and that have just been presented.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to Article 2, to see if the town of Bernardston will authorize the Select Board to apply for and accept state and/or federal monies and to expend any monies received as set forth in the appropriate application and/or documents or take any vote or votes relative thereto.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 2 passes unanimously. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Select Board to accept and expend without further appropriation any monies which may be available from the Commonwealth through the Massachusetts Department of Transportation for improvements to town roads or take any vote or votes relative thereto.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 3 passes unanimously. Article 4, to see if the town will vote to authorize the treasurer to enter into compensating balance agreements for fiscal year 2027, commencing on July 1st, 2026, pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53F, or take any vote or votes relative thereto.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 4 passes unanimously. Article 5, to see if the town will vote under the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 108, or any amendments thereto, to fix the salaries of all elected officials for fiscal year 2027 and raise and appropriate the sums therefore. And further, to raise and appropriate, and you can see the table there, a total of $728,214.11 for the payroll and maintenance of the several departments of the town in accordance with the amounts recommended by the Finance Committee as shown in the first column of the following table, Table 1, or to pass any vote or votes in relation thereto. And Table 1 goes on for the remainder of that page and the next 2 pages. So I'll entertain a motion relative to that.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Article 5, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Article 6, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $38,359 for Bernardston's share of the educational expenses in accordance with the amounts recommended by the Finance Committee as shown in the first column of the following table, Table 3, and to pass any vote or votes relative thereto. And these are for Bernardston's share of the educational expenses in accordance with the amounts recommended by the Finance Committee as shown in the first column of the following table, Table 3, or to pass any vote or votes relative thereto.
Table 2.
Table 2, I'm sorry. And it says Table 3. So with respect to that, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. And any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 6 passes unanimously. Article 7, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $335,585 plus a transfer from free cash of $6,681 for a total of $342,266. And that's for the Bernardston share of the educational expenses in accordance with the amounts recommended by the Finance Committee as shown in the first column of Table 3, or to pass any vote or votes relative thereto.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's Article 7. To Article 8, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $4,010,601 and transfer from free cash $54,422 for a total of $4,065,023 for Bernardston's share of the educational expenses in accordance with the amounts recommended by the Finance Committee as shown in the first column of the following table, Table 4, and to pass any vote or votes relative thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I'd like to make an amendment.
Okay?
We need a motion and
Yeah, you need a motion for amendment.
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay, so what's the amendment? Okay. I've been handed to amend Article 8 to read, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $4,010,601, transfer from free cash $54,422 for a total of $4,065,223 for Bernardston's share of the education expenses in accordance with the amounts recommended to the Finance Committee.
it's the same thing.
In there.
Well, yeah, but it's,
No,
I think
the wording is instead of recommended by the Finance
Yeah, it's
Committee, it's
recommended to the Finance Committee,
We
as
had a
shown in
little,
the first column of the following table, to pass any vote or votes relative thereto. And this is because the Select Board and Finance Committee do not recommend passage of this article. So, so with respect to Article 8, what we have now is a motion. Is there a second to this motion?
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded, and we're voting now on the amendment to the motion. Is there any discussion or any questions before we have that vote? Hello? Okay, well, if you can. Okay, please, if you can state your name and address.
Hello, everybody. My name is Frank Ribeiro, Post Shop Road. What is the dollar amount that it's amended to?
It's the-
It says
the-
the requested is $4,010,000.
Yeah,
And I
It's
see
the
you amending it to the same number.
it's
yeah,
the wording.
It's the wording. The change is,
Pardon?
Instead of saying recommended by the Finance Committee, it should say recommended to the Finance Committee. We have to legally change the wording before we can,
because if, in the article, it says the Select Board and Finance Committee do not recommend passage. So it is not recommended by the Finance Committee, it's recommended to the Finance Committee. That's the change, correct?
correct.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's
What
the
does
wor-
what does that mean?
It means that it was recommended to it's not recommended by the Finance Committee.
But are we voting on that number?
Now, we're voting to amend the article right now.
Have we got a number that we're amending it to?
It's the same number.
Same.
It's the same number. The only thing that's changed is it's to read that it's recommended to the Finance Committee, not recommended by the Finance Committee.
I don't understand.
More to come.
Anybody else have any difficulty or question? Seeing none, will the motion to amend, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so now as amended, is there any discussion?
Yes.
okay.
Mr. Moderator, I have an amendment.
Okay, this is another amendment?
Yes, please.
Okay, so now we have a further amendment, and now you get some different figures. It's a motion, and is the motion seconded?
Second.
Okay, so now we have a motion to amend Article 8 to read, raise and appropriate $3,511,340, transfer from free cash $54,422 for a total of $3,565,762. and amend the following lines in Table 4 to read Pioneer Valley Regional School District operating budget, $3,511,340 in total for Pioneer Valley Regional School, $3,565,762. So the article as it reads now as amended calls for an appropriation of $4,065,023. I have a motion to amend the article to have a total of $3,565,762, a difference of $500,000, or roughly $500,000. So, is there any discussion with respect to the motion? Yes. Okay, again, identify yourself.
Frank Ribeiro, Ho Shop Road. First off, on this amendment, could we have a paper ballot?
Well, if it comes to that, we may. But right now, we're still on the motion to amend. So
But I mean to say on this amendment, if we vote on this amendment, could that be a paper ballot?
if it has to be, yeah, but first we'll try it by a voice vote. And if it's, I can't determine what the yeas and nays are, then we'll have to do it by paper ballot.
Is there any way I can make a proposal that we could vote on whether people want a paper ballot as opposed to a voice ballot? I mean, yeah.
No, we're gonna see
Okay,
whether we
all right.
need one. We're not gonna spend additional time having a paper ballot if it's clear from the yeas and nays that people are either predominantly in favor or opposed.
I'm suggesting that maybe some people don't want to reveal how they're voting, so I don't know where people stand on that. But that would be the option, a paper ballot, so.
Okay.
I
Okay,
think we've done something
else?
like this in the past where
Yeah, okay.
a vote might be controversial,
okay.
and that people don't, they'd rather not, they'd rather keep their vote private.
Okay. So I'll hear from anybody else who wishes to be heard on the sub-question to the motion to amend. Yes.
Oh, I was going to make a
Yeah, if you can identify yourself.
Oh, Karen Fitzpatrick, Chapin Road.
Yeah, I
Can't
think
hear
you're
you.
going to have to speak up. We
Talk
can't
right
hear
into
you.
Karen Fitzpatrick, Chapin Road. I was going to make a motion that we have a paper ballot because I agree with Frank Ribeiro that it might inhibit people from voting how they are comfortable.
Okay, well, let's back up a step. Right now, what I have is a motion to amend. So the question is whether the number we vote on is $4,065,000 or $3,565,000. So this is a motion to amend. Moving to amend or not amend doesn't necessarily tip your hand, but are you asking for a paper ballot on the motion to amend?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion and vote. Motion and vote.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Melissa Gary, 155 Parmenter Road, School Committee Chair. So to amend this to the new number, if it was to pass, it would actually still fail. So the school committee has presented a assessment of $4,065,000. I heard you say 230, but it says 23 here. So I just want to make sure I'm saying the right.
This is the motion to amend?
So for the motion to amend, if
It's to raise and appropriate $3,511,340, transfer from free cash $54,422, for a total of $3,565,762.
So if we vote to amend this to that amount, and then we vote on that, and it is a yes vote, that still fails to meet the assessed amount that the district is requesting from the town. So, at this point, I don't think a paper ballot is necessary, but the amendment, unless we wanted to vote paper ballot on the amendment, yes or no, that's what the amendment would do.
Okay, anybody? Yes.
Ron Fulton, 46 Fox Hill Road. Before I can vote on whether or not to reduce the amount from $4 million to $3.5 million, I'd like to know what we're giving up by doing so. How can I make a decision unless I know what why we're doing this?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so the person who proposed the motion, do you want to explain what it involves?
The motion is designed to reset the requested amount to fiscal year 26's amounts, so that the school committee and the PVRSD would be budgeting level funded to the prior year.
So are you saying that every item in the budget would automatically
It's not
be-
up to this group to develop the budget. It is up to the school committee to develop the budget.
Well, I think the question is being asked in the table that's set out relative to Article 8. There are several different figures. So which of these figures? Is it the operating budget that you're referring to?
Yes,
Okay. Or is it the capital projects?
operating budget.
Okay. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
So I have an answer to the question about what we would be losing. So if the budget does not pass, okay, here is what is going to be on the docket to be cut. Preschool, Pioneer Athletics, elementary behaviorists, elementary reading specialists, PVRS electives, and PVRS extracurriculars. I just want to also let you know that our budget already has been cut significantly by cutting a school librarian, by cutting a director of teaching and learning. So we have made significant cuts already to this budget that if the budget does not pass, then the list, preschool, PVRS athletics, elementary behaviorists, elementary reading specialists, PVRS electives, PVRS extracurriculars. And I just want to take a moment and thank whomever was the deciding factor to print on the front of our annual town booklet the great picture of our athletic teams that won state champs last year. So thank you for adding us there.
Okay. Anything else on the issue of whether we're going to amend this motion?
Yes.
Yes, you are?
Thank you, Chair, for recognizing me. Jim Trill. My wife Wendy and I live at 34 Depot Street in Bernardston. We've been residents for 17 years. Both of us, Wendy's worked at Bernardston for 22 years. I've had the honor of leading and working at schools in Franklin County. So I think we both clearly understand what it takes to run and operate successfully a viable school district. And what we're doing and I urge you, do not vote for $3.5 million, the amended, because we will decimate the school district. My daughter and son just built in other towns. The number one priority for them was a school district that's viable, not a decimated town. And I respect all of the services that we provide. I respect all of you. Thank you for the work that you put in throughout the year to provide us with the services we have. Superintendent Kinsella and all the school staff, thank you for going above and beyond to do this for our town, which is to build and put pride into our city, into our town. If we vote to decimate the budget for the school, we will not have a town. It'll run all of our young families out of town. Just what we have been doing for the past few years. So I urge you to vote for the 4 million plus and do not vote the amendment, with respect. I'd love to hear your decision and why you came up with a decision to go back $500,000. What are you expecting the school district to provide? I have 3 grandchildren in Bernardston at the elementary school. I expect them to receive the services that we should vote for,
Okay.
just like for everybody else.
You've asked a question, so let's have
Yes, I'd
somebody.
love to hear it.
If
Thank
somebody
you.
wants to answer it. Go ahead.
Last year, at our annual meeting, we voted an increase in the school budget of 9.31%. This year, they're asking for 14.22% increase in the budget. I don't know anyone in this room whose income has increased 9.31% and then an additional 14.22%. It's the people here support the school system. They just can't afford it. There is no way that we can, as a town, support this. Additionally, just to understand, we have one person who is graduating from PVRS this year. The town of Bernardston, one individual, asking for $4.010 million for one individual. And I understand that there's all kinds of other support here, but
Okay,
the reality,
please have order.
the reality is that the participation in the PVRSD from the town of Bernardston is shrinking. It has, over the past 5 years, Patricia, shrunk dramatically. Yet their
Okay,
budget has
anybody who
increased.
wishes to be heard, you can get in line, and we're not having a dialogue, so,
The town can't afford 14.22%.
okay, thank you. Sir, you wish to be heard?
Yes, Stuart Scannell, 38 Depot Street. I'm just wondering, in terms of you say that we've got one person graduating from PVRSD or from the high school. I was wondering what's the metric here in terms of assessing the impact of these cuts to the actual Bernardston Elementary School, in terms of the students in Bernardston and the students in Leiden, as well as the parents, because right now we've got one single public option. The rest is private, and as it is, public preschool, there's already a waiting list a mile long. So I am curious as to, I think it's worth considering to the people of the town. I understand that 15% seems like a steep increase, especially in light of inflation and overall escalation. But how else are we going to get it? Our care, and how else are we going to be able to hold down our 2 jobs?
Okay, thank you. Ma'am?
Hi, my name's Erin Bernard. I live at 102 Northfield Road. And I just want to put in kind of a little plug. I think the reading and all of the elementary school stuff, I think is very important, and I think everybody can kind of see that importance. I just want to put in a plug for kind of the extracurriculars, sports, and things like that. I think in a generation of young people who are given a lot of slack for being on their phones all the time and being on screens, and why don't they get out and interact with peers and things like that, us taking away those opportunities for in-person interaction is really not helping. And I feel like there's a lot of spaces that they used to get to go, like the mall and places where they got to interact with their peers that are just no longer there, and it's really becoming a problem. And I think taking that away from after-school activities and after-school sports and things is really going to hurt them in the long run as they become adults and have to be social beings. So just wanted to put in a little plug there.
Okay.
Good evening, I'm Patty Zilborski, 100 South Street. And I'm also retired superintendent from Franklin County Tech. So I have a little bit of experience with school budgets. I had the opportunity to look on the website and kind of dissect this budget. And to my very great pleasure, I found it to be extremely transparent, extremely well thought through, and it's no frills. And in doing that, they were also able to not cut direct services to the kids. And that's what's important. Direct services were not cut, nor were any programs, nor was athletics. And you got to admit, it's great to have winning teams in your backyard. So I want to congratulate anybody who worked on this budget, having worked on them myself. I know that it's heart-wrenching, it really, really is, because you know you're not going to please everybody. You know you can't please everybody. The bottom line of the budget always looks scary as can be. But what are we doing it for? We're doing it for the kids, and the best gift that we can give our kids is a good, competitive education, hopefully turn out good citizens contributing back to the community. So I support this budget wholeheartedly. Hope you do too.
Hey, ma'am.
Danielle Borderweek, 208 Couchbrook. I'm also a young family, but I'll be sending my children to private school because I don't agree with the inflation and the money that they keep asking for every year, the salary raises in the administration office, something that people really need to look for. So private school is our best option for our kids in this town, unfortunately.
Yes.
Hi there. Sabra Billings. I live on Huckle Hill Road. I'm also running for state representative, and I'm not sharing that as a pitch. I'm sharing that to explain that over the last 5 weeks, I've been filling every spare minute of my schedule that I can with what I'm calling a learning and listening tour. So I've spent a lot of time in the last 5 weeks meeting with and having discussions with a wide group of folks that have included parents of kids in this district, multiple superintendents, school committee members, and a member of the organization Rural Schools Massachusetts, which is a nonprofit organization advocating for funding for our rural schools. It also included a very passionate discussion at the dump with Jane, who let me know in no uncertain terms that she was not at all impressed that any of my volunteering experience in the last decade since my daughter graduated from Frontier was directly within the town. So I think that I might have promised her that if the state rep thing didn't work out, that I would be volunteering for a town committee. My experience includes a significant amount of budget management and analysis. I've been responsible for multiple multi-million-dollar budgets. And through the lens of that experience and also my recent crash course in what's been happening, not just in Bernardston, but in all of the towns of the First Franklin District, when I look at the expense details, much like the woman who just spoke second before me, and the relative value of the state's contribution to our schools, to me, I believe without a doubt, the failure of the state to fulfill the funding that their own commission determined was needed over 4 years ago is really the cause of the pain, and not mismanagement of the school, not elevated salaries in the grand scheme of things. And I also just wanted to share really quickly that there is still time for your voices to be heard in the budget process. So right in the next couple of weeks, the Senate is going to be finalizing rural aid. It's completely up in the air right now. So I would urge you all to contact Joe Comerford to make sure that there is as much support as possible for rural school funding, because it would make a massive, massive difference in terms of the share of the burden that the town has to bear.
Thank you. Yes.
Good evening. I'm Patricia Kinsella. I'm a resident of Northfield. However, I am the superintendent of the school district.
Okay. You have permission to be heard?
Yes, state law provides that I may address town meeting in relation to the budget. Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. It's great to be here, and congratulations, Bernardston. This must be about 5 times last year's attendance at town meeting, so well done. I'd like to thank all of the school district employees are here. We have a whole crew that doesn't live in Bernardston. Thank you to the district families that are here. I'd like to correct the record. on a couple of points. First, the chair, Ms. Gary, was correct. State law is unequivocal. If town meeting votes any amount that is even $1 less than the assessment amount sent by the regional school district committee to the town, that is considered a failure of the budget. There's no way around that. That's crystal clear. Second, we have advised the town of this previously. Some of you may remember 3 years ago when the Select Board and Finance Committee wanted to vote a different number, and Ms. Gary eloquently explained to town meeting what would happen. And town meeting amended the budget numbers so that they matched what the school district committee sent to the town. Regarding one senior from Bernardston, that's true. But there are 11 juniors and 14 sophomores and 13 ninth graders and 14 eighth graders and 19 seventh graders who live in Bernardston. I looked at the Franklin Tech numbers today, and I'm a fan of Franklin Tech. I have a great relationship with Rick Martin. I think they do a marvelous job. There is no competition between Pioneer and Franklin Tech. We offer very different programs. I believe that there are 3 students from Bernardston who will leave Pioneer for Tech next year. If that were to hold true for 4 more years, there would be only half as many Bernardston students attending Tech as are attending today. Pioneer's in a great place. We anticipate increases to enrollment. A state study by the Mass School Building Authority confirmed that in November, and the town has that study. Actually, and you can see that in the little pamphlet that we handed out, and it's also available on our website, to the neighbor who just spoke about the amount of money that the districts asked for. Actually, the proportion of Bernardston's budget that goes to education has been decreasing steadily for 8 years. 8 years, that's not my number, those are the state's numbers. And one might ask, where does the state get those numbers? They get the numbers from the town. So it is not the case that we have been a budget buster forever. The budget is higher this year, and I appreciate the Select Board Chair's recognition that the district felt the pain in terms of the health insurance increase this year. However, to my knowledge, the school district is the only municipal entity in our 3 towns that actually had to cut personnel to deal with the health insurance increase. I had to call our secondary school librarian a few weeks before school opened last year, and she was a terrific librarian, and lay her off. We don't have an early childhood coordinator this year because of health insurance. We will not have a director of teaching and learning next year because of health insurance. We cut a business office staffer. We cut an instructional assistant. So we spread the pain out among different workforce cohorts in the summer. But in this current budget in your hands and on the website, the pain is felt most by administration. So to end, yes, the chair was also correct that if this budget does not pass, we will be looking at preschool, athletics, elementary reading specialists, elementary behaviors, Pioneer extracurriculars, and Pioneer electives. We have already been notified by some preschool families and other families that they will be seeking to school choice their children out of the district. If this budget doesn't pass, it begins to erode the incredible gains that this beautiful little rural district has made in the past 5 years. We were something of a mess, right? 7 or 8 years ago when the state passed special legislation, right? Our finances weren't good. We had made a number of mistakes. Staff morale was low. Staff turnover was high. Families were fleeing. And through your support, year after year at town meeting, we have been able to turn this little ship around. Pioneer is once again a destination district for staff. We have really strong staff retention now. Our school choice numbers increased by 30% at Pioneer this past summer. Pioneer is back, and I hope you will support this budget. Thank you.
Thank you. You have something, okay, go ahead briefly. Yeah, you.
Sorry. Hi. My name is Amy Carney, maiden name Dupree, and I live at 52 Eden Trail Branch Road in Bernardston. And so I have 3 boys at Bernardston Elementary School, and we recently moved back, I'm going to say 2 years ago, to join my family's farm here in Bernardston. And my mom she's on a fixed income, and my dad is no longer here anymore, and she is helping me raise my children. I do have a husband, sorry, and so, but he's there, but like she's helping me raise them, and I am just so happy with their experience at Bernardston. We are a wonderful community. I see people I went to high school, because I graduated from here, I went to high school with, and I can see that experience through the eyes of my children. And it's wonderful, and they're being challenged, and there's kids there, and Bernardston is bustling. Like, I don't even know if there's school choice seats there anymore. And then as I can see it following up through the high school, there's embedded honors, there's APs, there are dual enrollment programs, and like it just feels good. It feels good to live in this community. I love it for my children. I love this school. I don't know the exact amount per household that this would be, so that's sort of like a question for me. My husband delivers the mail, like, you know, we're just average citizens, but I want to invest in this community because I can see it. I want to bring people into the town, and I see that through new businesses in town, and, you know, so it's like an exciting time, and I do fear that if this budget does not pass, that people will not move here. People will not look at this as a bustling community. It takes more than just the school system to bring people in, and that's why I want people to think like big picture. Maybe I want to be involved in government. Do I have time with 3 little kids? I don't know. But thank you for your time. I just wanted to express that. I love living here, and I really hope you approve this. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Michael Kors, Bald Mountain Road. I just have a question. I was part of the meeting 3 years ago when we worked through the whole issue of whether a single dollar change would allow for passage, and I thought we had learned from that experience. I'm just very curious why an amendment is being submitted at this last second to make the same mistake. These things should be done beforehand. We shouldn't have to waste all of our time talking about an amendment that is essentially everybody has to vote no on the budget because that's what it is.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
My name is Danica Tominski. I'm at 712 Brattleboro Road. I have 2 kiddos in our school here at Pioneer. My son is a freshman, and my daughter is the single graduating Bernardston child. She's been talked about a little bit, so I thought I might share with you a little bit about her experience. We moved from Wendell to Bernardston in 2017. She has had a bit of a rough start at the beginning, but in the last 3 years, it has been fantastic. She is a 3-sport athlete and served as captain on all 3 teams. She was accepted to 13 colleges and universities in neuroscience, and that is directly because of the experiences that she had here. And if we get the budget that we're proposing, the amendment, I would definitely have chosen to go elsewhere. So I know, and I teach here. So I think that I just urge you, please don't vote against our children. Don't vote against our students. Give them what they need to be successful. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, a couple more, and then we're going to proceed. Go ahead.
I'm Bonnie Welcome. I live on Huckle Hill Road. I'm really trying very hard to follow everything that's happening, so bear with me. I appreciate everybody that's already spoke. You've helped me a lot. But currently, there's an amendment on the table. The requested amount from the school district is the $4,010,601, and the amendment was for the $3,511,340, which was level funding from FY26. Am I correct?
That's
Okay.
right.
So I have 2 questions. One, is there a dollar amount roughly that each household could anticipate that $500,000 would cost, one way or the other? And also, sorry, I don't remember your name, but the woman who was the superintendent?
Yep.
No, I'm sorry. The other woman that was speaking over here. Oh, yes.
Go ahead.
I just wanted some clarification on when she said that if we've voted for $1 less than the recommended amount, it would be considered a failure of the budget. And I just wasn't clear on that. I don't know if I'm the only one in the room that's not, but.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Happy to answer that question. So the law is crystal clear. Actually, there are a couple of laws and there's a regulation that say this. In a regional school district, and regional school district laws around budget are very different from the laws relating to a municipal school district like a Greenfield, right? Greenfield is one town, it's a city, right, that has its own district. Regional districts have different laws. If any of the towns approves an assessment number that is smaller than the assessment number approved by the school committee and sent to the town, the law considers it a failure of the budget. The law also requires that the town place before town meeting the number that we sent. So what has just happened, and I'm sorry, I'm going to be frank, and it's because the town knows this. We've shared this written guidance multiple times. The select board is supposed to give the local appropriating authority, that's you, town meeting, the opportunity to vote on the assessment approved by the school committee. It's clear. By making a motion to change the assessment number, I believe I'm sorry, I believe that the select board is doing an end run around the intent of the law, which is that town meeting have the opportunity to vote on the assessment approved by the school committee.
Thank you.
Okay, one more.
And this will be quick, but my concern is, I think we're hitting on it, is logistically, my understanding in the past is if the other two towns vote for this budget and we don't, we could be obligated for the entire amount anyways, because we're going to be forced into that 4 million whether we want to be or not. And then we're into a position where, is it a proposition 2.5 or an override of some sort we have to vote on? I mean, I think we're logistically setting ourselves up for a problem if we don't pass this as well. So,
Okay.
And you probably,
Okay.
someone here could touch on that better than.
Jane Dutcher, the Finance Committee wishes to be heard.
I thought that maybe I should share some of the thinking that went on in the numerous meetings where we discussed this budget, because it's a backbreaker. And here are the most important points that I remember from our discussions, and anybody at this top head table can add their thoughts to this. First of all, the administrative budgets involved in this total budget are far heavier than in any other comparable situation, any other comparable size district. The cost of administration has continued to increase as enrollment has continued to decrease. I can't find any logic in that. And I don't think any of the other people at this table can either. And that was one of our concerns. The other concern has to do with the participation we are allowed in the development of this budget. DESE and DOR met in this room with the 4 towns in this district a few years ago, and they told us in no uncertain terms that we should all, school district and towns, finance committees, be sitting down together starting in October, and that we should have equal voice at the table. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. Often the questions that I ask, I'm ridiculed for asking, and that does not sit well with me. If I have a question, if you have a question, if anyone has a question, it should be treated respectfully. No matter how silly it might be, it's not silly to the person asking it. And that's another problem with developing this budget. The reason that we are proposing a different amount tonight is so that if the school district budget is defeated, we will have funds to begin the payments and not have to rush to call a special meeting to appropriate the funds. Sometime along the line, we would probably have to have a special meeting to appropriate the difference, but at least we wouldn't have to do it before July. I had one other point, and it's I'm losing it. It's rather a personal note. In the last few years, I have found myself to be a family of one. And in that happening, I have found that my income decreased by more than 50%. So I now live on Social Security and a very small retirement fund from a company that I worked for a long time ago and just never took my money out, so I get a retirement from them. I watch every single penny. I have not been to a movie in over a year. I go out to dinner because my children buy me gift cards. I worry about how I'm going to pay my taxes. Once I can't pay my taxes, I will lose my home. And then where will I go? And I'm not the only senior in Bernardston. There are many others, and there are many of them worse off than I am. So that's a concern. And I don't hear the school district caring to listen to the towns about our concerns when we try to represent all of the people that live in our town. The Finance Committee will tell you that it's a tightrope walk to try to pay for all of the things that we want to have for our town, and at the same time consider our taxpayers and keep the tax rate reasonable. So with that, I ask you to please support the positions that your Finance Committee and your Select Board have taken. It's not that we're against education. We are not. Bernardston Elementary School is wonderful. But we need to do something about the hierarchy of the district, and we need to find different ways to do things. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. My name's Stan Garland. I live on 95 Hillcrest Drive in Bernardston. First of all, I'd like you all to take a look at these people up on the stage here. They're the people that work all year long to run your town, to make sure everything goes right. They need our support. And they very seldom, a lot of times they don't get it. This is one time they're asking, and I want to remind you another thing, is that all of the selectmen and all the finance committees in all 3 towns in this district have voted to not recommend this budget. This budget is too high, it's costing us too much money, and if you want to know what we got for enrollment, first grade, 34 students. Second grade, 36. This is Bernardston. Third grade, 40. Excuse me, this is total. Fourth grade, 48. Fifth grade, 50. Sixth grade, 37. Seventh grade, we jump up to 62 students. Eighth grade, we jump up to 84. Then ninth grade, we go back down to 36. I don't know how that happens, but that's what's on the state website. And then the 10th grade, we have 35. So you can see that there's no lie, we do not have the students to keep in this district, it's the monies that we can fund it. This is becoming a time when we have to think we close 2 schools. We close Leiden, we close Warwick. This will probably be the 3rd school right here that we'll have to close. We cannot continue on this path. We have to stop it. We do not need to be paying people high money in this district to run it. They can look at administration costs and they can reduce that. They don't have to do away with all the programs that they just told you they were going to do away with, because we know they won't. Thank you, and I hope we're going to hear from Bob Keir, Mr. Keir here pretty soon. Thank you.
Yeah, anything new? Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Something new. Jim Trill, respectfully, I would like to find out how many visits have been made to the schools by the people in front. How many times have you visited the schools, taken time to be in the schools, see exactly what's going on, how the money is spent? Have you been refused entrance to the schools? Because it sounded very much like a personal attack on administration. And, you know, I'd like to acknowledge the fact that it's a very difficult job to run the schools. And I applaud all of the difficult sacrifices that are made by our school staff to provide for our students. And respectfully, sir, if we close another school, take a look around us. How many young families are sitting here in front of us tonight? They're our future taxpayers. I have 3 grandchildren, as I said, in this system. I need to see them continue to be offered a viable education, not to shutter our schools and have to transport them to somewhere else. Take pride, please, in our schools. Yes, it costs, as you said, Brian Keir. It will have a profound impact on our income. My wife and I are on a fixed income. We will not get a 14% increase to be able to offset this increase. But we will make that sacrifice for our children, who are our future. So please do pass the school budget to save our towns. Thank you. Thank you for hearing me.
Okay, Mr. Ribeiro, one last word.
Hi, Frank Ribeiro, Ho Shop Road. Obviously, there's a conflict between the towns, not just this town, and the school administration. I was on the Finance Committee many years ago, some of you might remember, and I had a wonderful relationship with the superintendent. And by that I mean we were able to talk, negotiate, whatever you want to call it. There wasn't any last-minute surprises necessarily. He would offer, I remember one budget came in maybe similar to this, 12%, 12.5, and I said, listen, you bring that on the floor, in Bernardston, it ain't gonna work. What can we do here? And of course, right then and there, not gonna support, but we're talking. And guess what? We found a way to negotiate that and bring it down. And every budget passed as a result. And what I'm hearing over the last few years, the towns are having difficulty having that kind of, so it's becoming a sort of political, it's becoming a battlefield. And so I'm hearing tonight, the only way the town has any ability, well, I don't know if they do. If they reduce, let's say, don't want to go with the $4 million number. Let's go with 3.8. Something above last year's budget, but not the $4 million. Well, that budget's dead. So even at this point, the budget can't be negotiated, okay? Is the administration top-heavy? In other words, it's costing a lot of money? Probably so. I mean, consider the population, school population. You realize that school systems, regional school systems in other areas of the state, the population, school population is in the thousands. I don't know, what do we have, 400? Yeah, 600, okay. And we have an administration, it sounds to me, making a lot of money, and, you know, maybe we don't. We definitely need to go to the regionalization that is being proposed, that you heard about earlier, not only to save money, but also to provide better academic programs.
Mr.
and more of
Rivera,
them.
I think we're getting off. Why don't
I
you
know
make
I
your
am.
point?
Okay, but all I'm trying to say is that
Just say it.
it appears to me like the Pioneer school system is sort of, you know, putting the town in a position where they can't really negotiate. From what I heard earlier, that the question was asked of the superintendent whether or not, you know, they had a backup plan. Well, she said, well, no, we don't. We'll just go with the 1/12 program. In other words, we'll run on our budget.
Yeah, Mr. Rivera, I'm
from
going
last
to
year.
give you 30 seconds to sum up. This is getting into to be a filibuster.
All I'm saying is at 14%, I understand what Jane is saying, and I think it would be nice if we could maybe work something out with the school system, and so that it would be more appetizing for the community. Thank you.
Okay. No, we have two more, and then we're gonna vote on the amendment, but go ahead.
Hi, I agree with all the conversations. I'm just kind of very torn. I had two daughters graduate from Pioneer. I graduated from Pioneer a long time ago. My problem is everything right now in the world is getting expensive, and we've all had to make cuts and make decisions. For me personally, this year is just a breaking point with the budget, and we've always approved it, and it's just time that maybe just take a second look at it and work with us towns, because we desperately need the help. Last year's budget for Pioneer came in, it was 56% of our Bernardston budget. This year, it's 68%. We have to fund the other 25 departments and committees on whatever money's left over. That's a lot. Some of these departments include fire, police, EMS, and highway. Those are all departments that are essential to the school as well. So if those funds from the school are cutting into those other budgets, that's going to hurt not only the school, but our residents. In the ages of 0 to 19, which are school-age students, it's 18 to 20% of our Bernardston population. In the 60 and above, it's 32%. We're an aging community, that's just the way it is. And I don't mean to take anything away from the kids, I don't, definitely, but I want to think of all of our residents, not just our residents with children in the school system. Thank you.
Yeah, Sabre Billings, Huckle Hill Road. I just wanted to add, because it seems relevant, it's come up a couple of times, the point of regionalization, and I'll let Jane correct me if I'm wrong, but during our conversation at the dump, when we were talking about the 6 towns regionalization plan, my understanding is that the current position is that they had not identified any meaningful short-term savings with the regionalization plan. So that seems pretty valuable for folks to understand.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're gonna have a vote on the motion. We have the current article calls for an appropriation of $4,010,601 and a transfer from free cash, which is consistent with the two. So the main figure is the $4,010,601, and the motion is to raise and appropriate $3,511,340. So what we're voting on now is the motion. If If the ayes prevail, then that's going to result in an amended motion, an amended article for $3,511,000. If the motion fails, then the article is continued to read $4,010,000. So, understanding that, all in favor of the motion to amend, please say aye. Aye. All those who are opposed? No. Yeah? Okay. We'll have a paper ballot. No. Yeah, well, there are those who are concerned about privacy, although I've got to say at this point, people have been pretty open in how they feel about it. So all those who are in favor of the motion to amend, please stand.
No, except Jane. Except Jane.
Yeah, except
count
for
Jane once.
Okay, count Jane.
Plus one.
So we got a counter?
Sue and you guys. Camilla? Yeah, yes. Give them a piece of paper so they can count everybody and.
Yeah, count the people who are standing
Yeah,
up.
so Sue, go on this side and start, and then Camilla will come around and. Yeah, so you get, hopefully the two of you will agree.
I'm not sure how this is going to work. Is she doing the whole row?
Yeah, you're gonna have to go up and down the rows.
The right side first.
Camilla, you're gonna get the ones way back in the corner.
Did you get the stage? Did you get the stage? Can Jane put her arm down?
Not me.
How many do we have here?
We had 115 check-ins.
115.
There are your figures.
Count Jane too. Bring it up.
Sit down now.
She says, unless they say it's 115 people signed in. And then they just take the yeses.
It's hard to believe this is school. The problem is they don't come to
Okay, you can all have a seat. Okay, all those who are opposed to the motion, please stand.
Do another one.
Gotta count again, ladies.
I think it's obvious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Out of
but
115.
still gotta count.
That doesn't mean everybody's voting either.
Guarantee you that. The kid in the Nike shirt is not a voter. Do they have to be voters?
Yes.
Okay, I see kids standing.
Yeah, have to be voters. If you can't vote, either because don't live in Bernardston or because you're not old enough, then you should sit down.
God, your voters are getting younger and
Right?
younger.
Aren't they? I mean, he looks
Yeah.
like 12.
Well, I think it's appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's their future.
that's
Yep.
right.
Certainly we've screwed this up.
I'm glad to see them that young at town meeting. Even if they are one-issue wonders.
That's right. Wish I looked that young.
Well, watch out for those families when you go to the next one. Watch out for those families when you go to the next one.
I don't have to worry about counting the head table.
Well, I'll cut my hours if you want to cut the budget. I said, I'll cut my hours if you want to cut my budget. That doesn't help serve the town, though.
No, no, it's just. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they keep coming down, unfunded.
Right, mandates all the time, yeah. You know, if they would find a better system for funding education, they would, you know.
Okay, you can have a seat, thank you.
So you're gonna write.
Okay, on the motion to amend Article 8, there were 44 votes in favor of the motion and 59 votes opposed. Therefore, the motion to amend fails, and we will proceed to a vote on the article, Article 8, calling for a raise and appropriate $4,010,601 and appropriate, or transfer from free cash $54,422 for a total of $4,065,023. Now, is there anybody who wishes to be heard on this who has not been heard on the motion to amend? Seeing none, we're going to put it to a vote. All in favor of Article 8, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? No. I think we'll have another paper ballot.
Count, you mean?
Yeah, we'll do it, no, we'll do a count again, so for those of you who want some more exercise, all of those who are in favor of Article 8 for $4,010,601, please stand.
And we had 117 to start.
115.
15.
But I saw a couple go out, a couple have died.
True.
It's already 8:51.
Oh, no.
On Article 8.
Yeah.
The rest of them will fly.
I don't know about that.
I just hope I get the minutes right.
Yeah, I know, I think you got the minutes. I'm sure you'll get those.
No, it sounds organic.
Do you want to give me that amendment that you made that failed? I thought, is it getting better? It's getting stiff. Well, that's, if it's getting stiff, it's getting small. My tone of Has any other town meeting for any of the towns been held yet?
Saturdays.
We're the first.
Saturdays, Northfield.
It's coming Saturday?
Yeah.
A little bit.
And Leiden's not till like the end of June.
Yeah, Leiden is late.
Late.
Yeah, because I'm June.
Oh,
That's
so
like,
she was talking.
layout, recliner.
Somebody said the other towns voted against, or is that the selectmen did not?
The Selectmen and Finance Committees have all recommended against it,
Yeah.
in all three towns.
Yeah, but we're the first ones to vote on it. Correct.
Town to vote, right? Looks like some people changed. I know, they want a little Leiden that will come through and vote it. That's fine, yeah. Oh, for the, yeah.
Okay. So if more than 52 or more people voted, then it's going to pass.
Right.
I'm not going to reinvent.
Yeah, we
I
shouldn't
hope
have
we can
to.
move along expeditiously after this.
Yeah, and go quickly, too.
Got it.
The same number might count.
Okay, you can all have a seat, thank you.
Still
Oh,
gotta have-
jeez.
Still got to do the others.
Do you think? 'Cause this is-
All right.
Oh, yeah, okay, we had, on the motion to amend, there were 44 people who voted for and 59 voted against, which is a total of 103. The original number of people who signed in at the beginning of the meeting, which seems like a couple days ago, was 115. So, assuming that there are no more than 103 people here at this point, because nobody's come, that means that if we have more than 52 votes, then it passes. We had 56. Therefore, the motion, Article 8 is amended only to change the word by the Finance Committee to the Finance Committee, but for the total of $4,010,601, $54,422 from free cash for a total of $4,065,000 $1,023. Passes.
Half of 250, half of 115 is 57 votes.
Jeff, I'd count the noes. I would count the noes. I'm sorry.
No, wait, 102, half of 103 is?
No,
115 registered
Yeah, but only
voters.
52 people, only 103.
Maybe the rest abstained.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, there's a motion, there's a request that we count the noes. So on Article 8, going back to Article 8, all of those who voted against Article 8, please stand.
There's this one, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so you want to vote, ask for the no's?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're asking, all who voted against it, please say no. All stand, sit down.
I got about 35, so. Oh, I didn't count all you guys. Three, yeah, so it's gonna be about 10. Yeah, that way.
Oh, she fell
But you just don't wanna make that assumption, you know, if there's any kind of
That
challenge.
was out the last frosty morning that we had. She was walking her dog and slipped in the frost.
Jane was gonna wait right to do it after the meeting closed.
Thanks, Jane.
Yeah, really.
Many others of this town as I do.
Yeah?
Then I won't.
No, that's all right. It's all right.
Ryan's laughing. And it's not, it doesn't have anything to do with our.
Right. Sit down again.
Okay, finally on the vote on Article 8, 56 in favor, 44 against. Article 8 passes. Okay, let's try Article 9. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $821,933.74. Transfer from dog licensing revolving account $7,234 for a total of $829,167.74 for contracted services, pension, and insurance expense in accordance with the accounts recommended by the Finance Committee as shown in the first column of the following table, table Roman numeral 5, or pass any voter votes in relation thereto.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion relative to Article 9? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 9 passes unanimously. Article 10, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,373,998.40, transfer from landfill receipts $101,432, transfer from transfer station recycling account $2,800 for a total of $1,478,230.40 for public services in accordance with the accounts recommended by the Finance Committee as shown in the first column of the following table, table Roman numeral 6, or pass any vote or votes relative thereto.
So moved. Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? There appearing to be none. Article 10, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 10 passes unanimously. Article 11, to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash $350,000 to the stabilization accounts in accordance with the amounts recommended by the Finance Committee as shown in the first column of the following table, table Roman numeral 7, or pass any vote or votes in relation thereto.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Article 11 passes unanimously. Article 12, to see if the town will vote to transfer funds from the Barber Fund the amount of $16,686.10 for the Recreation Commission account, and further to transfer from the Kiwanis Trust Unrestricted Account the sum of $1,000 to the Kiwanis Recreation Equipment Fund to be expended by the Recreation Commission for recreation programs and field maintenance, or take any vote or votes in relation thereto.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion relative to Article 12? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 12 passes unanimously. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the amount of $1,200 for maintenance of the Burke Flat Cemetery, formerly called Village or Old Cemetery, or take any vote or votes relative thereto.
So moved. Second.
Article 13, moved and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 13 passes unanimously. Article 14, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the amount of $450 for the street and cemetery flag replacement account, or take any vote or votes relative thereto.
So moved. Second.
Article 14, moved and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 14 passes unanimously. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the amount of $9,000 for fiscal year 28 town audit, or take any vote or votes in relation thereto.
So moved. Second.
Article 15, moved and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 15 passes unanimously. Article 16, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the amount of $2,400 for the third of 5 installments for the Board of Assessors fiscal year 29 reevaluation, or take any vote or votes in relation thereto.
So moved. Second.
Article 16, moved and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Article 16 passes unanimously. Article 17, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the amount of $3,000 for the Mosquito Control District, or take any vote or votes in relation thereto.
So moved.
Okay, moved and
I'll
seconded. Any discussion relative to mosquitoes?
Not one mosquito has been harmed in this.
Okay, there being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 17 passes unanimously. Article 18, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the amount of $130,000 for the third of 10 installments of the fire station loan, or take any vote or votes relative thereto.
So moved. Second.
Okay, any discussion relative to Article 18? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 18 passes unanimously. Article 19, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the amount of $6,000 for the town hall record preservation, or take any vote or votes relative thereto.
So moved. Second.
Okay, Article 19, moved and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 19 passes unanimously. Article 20, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the amount of $45,624.92 for painting the town hall clock tower, or take any vote or votes relative thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move to pass over Article 20.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded, and all in favor of passing over Article 20?
I can give an explanation, too, if people want to know it.
Okay.
Over the last several years, we've noticed some cracking and settling within the town hall at Bernardston. We engaged a structural engineer who came and did a study on the building, and it led to some findings of the foundation settling in certain portions of the building, as well as some of the centerline footings settling, which led us to say, okay, why is that happening? So we had to engage the services of a civil engineer for drainage and the soil surveys around the building. We've currently in the process of signing a contract with a civil engineer to determine his best ideas as what it would take to stop the settling of the foundation of the town hall. Long story short, it's more than likely going to have to involve jacking of the town hall, moving everybody out of the town hall for a period of time to make repairs. So we're going to, once we get the report back from the civil engineer, more than likely stand up a committee to see if it's worth fixing the town hall. It may end up being cheaper to build a new building. At that point, this body will have to make some pretty serious decisions. So we'd recommend not doing that repair right now until we get the answers from that study to determine what's going to be the best method moving forward. Repair the building, replace the building, simple fix, big fix. We just don't have all the answers yet. So until we know that, we don't want to, I hate to say waste money.
Any questions or discussion? Yes.
Yeah, Stuart Scannell, 38 Depot Street. Do you have like an approximate timeline for how long that study's going to take? And is it probably going to go before a, like the next town meeting, or I'm just curious?
The civil engineer, through discussions I've had with him, has promised we'd have his report by the end of this calendar year. So the hope is we can then interpret all that and come back to this body at a special, or more than likely the annual next year with those findings. But we'd have to stand up a committee to look at a new building if that's what it pointed to, if that's what it points to.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, on the motion to pass, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 20 is passed over. Article 21, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the amount of $8,873 for the refurbishment of the face and hands of the town hall clock, or take any vote or votes relative thereto.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion relative to the clock?
I'll make a comment. We would like to continue finishing the clock if it's possible for that contractor to do it without the lift that would have been involved in painting. Because our thinking is we want the town clock to be refurbished, and if it means a new building, we would want to move the town clock to the new building. So that's why we're asking you to approve that. Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions, comments, discussion? Yes.
Hi, Sherry Dean, River Street. I understand what I think Jane just said, but it doesn't seem to make sense to spend money right now to fix the clock if it's going to potentially be moved, because things tend to get out of whack when they get moved. So I would recommend waiting until we know exactly what's going to happen before we appropriate money. Thank you.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah.
It's very difficult to find anyone that works on a clock that's that old. We have found someone who can refurbish the hands and the face, and that's part of my reason for wanting to go ahead with it.
Okay, any further questions, discussion? Okay, there being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, there are noes, but I deem that the ayes prevail, and therefore Article 21 is passed by majority. Article 22, to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $5,000 to be added to the employee retirement separation and /separation account, or take any vote or votes relative thereto.
So moved. Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion relative to Article 22? There appearing to be none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Article 23, to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash the amount of $5,000 to be added to the other post-employment benefits, OPEB, trust fund, or take any vote or votes relative thereto.
So moved. Second.
Okay, any discussion or questions relative to Article 23? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 23 passes unanimously. Article 24, to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash the amount of $14,850 to be added to the culvert replacement account, or take any vote or votes relative thereto.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 24 passes unanimously. Article 25, to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash the amount of $15,000 for the renovate/construct town buildings account, or take any vote or votes relative thereto.
So moved. Second.
Okay, any questions, discussion relative to Article 25? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 25 passes unanimously. Article 26, to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash the amount of $70,000 to establish an insurance runoff account, or take any vote or votes relative thereto.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion, any questions?
What does that mean?
Somebody want to respond?
That means that we're establishing a fund so that if someone's insurance bill should come in after the trust is obligated and has funds to pay that balance, and before it can be taken over by GIC, it is the responsibility of the town to pay those amounts. We have absolutely no idea what or if there will be anything in that category. It can happen for up to 18 months because sometimes medical billings are rather slow, as I think many of us have experienced. When you open that envelope and you say, I haven't been to the doctor, where did this come from? And then you look at the date and you check your calendar and you realize, oh yeah, I was there 6 months ago or 7 months ago. So it's to cover something like that. The trust has a fund that Bernardston established with them when we got into the trust, but that was a lot of years ago, so it's not a very big fund. So they would use that fund to pay charges that come in, but once that fund is gone, then they're going to say to the town, it's your responsibility, here's the bill. And the new insurance company, of course, would not have been covering the individual at that point, so they're not going to pick it up. So this is a fund to help us if those things happen. And we have no idea. Where did we come up with $70,000? We came up with that by comparing the number of insureds we have with other entities that are leaving the trust and what they decided to set aside for this entity. So that's why we are asking you to approve that $70,000 come from free cash to establish this account.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Ron Fulton, 46 Fox Hill. Who's getting these bills? What is this excess insurance charge, and who's getting the bill? Is this for a citizen of Bernardston, or is this somebody on the stage?
No, I think that
Who's
there's...
getting these bills?
You need a little...
Okay, one at a time.
Yeah, you need a little history and context. Bernardston Municipal Employees Insurance was with the Hampshire County Insurance Trust. A lot of small towns were. The Hampshire Insurance Trust ended up not really having money to cover the insurance bills. So they raised everybody's insurance last year, and you may recall, everybody had to go to special town meetings and appropriate a great deal of money to pay the increase in premiums to the Hampshire Trust. As towns looked at the Hampshire Trust and what was going on, a lot of towns made the determination to switch to the GIC, which is essentially a state health insurance for public employees. Because Hampshire Trust is going to stop covering the towns that switched, GIC is going to be taking over, but there may be some lag in insurance bills between that, or come in later after Hampshire's no longer covering old bills. Then this account would pay those bills for town employees who have town insurance, but one of the insurance trusts and companies is not paying the bill.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion relative to Article 26? There being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, Article 26 passes unanimously. Article 27, to see if the town will vote to purchase from the Vehicle Stabilization Account an amount up to $65,000 for the purchase of a new cruiser for the police department, or take any vote or votes in relation thereto. This
So moved.
requires a 2/3 vote.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion relative to $65,000 for a new police cruiser? I'm sorry? It's not specified.
It's a Formula One race car.
If it were the Cadillac, there would be a request for 3 of them at the same time.
Okay,
I have a
yes.
question. Does Leiden?
Okay, you have to state your name, please.
Karen Fitzpatrick, Chapin Road. Is Leiden paying part of for the cruiser?
Okay,
No, not this one. Leiden supplies one cruiser, and it's on a different schedule than this.
okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, there appearing to be none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it passes unanimously and therefore satisfies the 2/3 requirement. Article 28, to see if the town will vote to borrow or otherwise provide for a sum up to $1,080,000 for the purpose of purchasing a replacement for Bernardston Fire Department Engine 2 and all costs incidental and related thereto, and further, to authorize the treasurer with the approval of the select board to borrow pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 7, subparagraph 1, or any other enabling authority said sum or a portion thereof for the purposes set forth herein, and to issue bonds and notes therefore, and further to authorize the select board and other appropriate public officials to take all actions necessary to effect the purposes of this article, provided, however, that this appropriation and debt authorization be contingent upon passage of a Proposition 2.5 debt exclusion referendum under General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 21C, paragraph K, or take any vote or votes in relation thereto. This requires a 2/3 vote.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Any questions? Yes, sir, if you can.
$1 million from the USDA going to go for? That was originally for the building. Okay, also the purchase of
When we finally see, this is my personal answer, not official, okay? When we finally see the $1 million, then we will have a discussion with the federal agency as to how we can use it. If we have to use it to pay off the loan on the fire station, then that's what we'll do. But if they will allow us to change it to pay for a fire engine, we will be happier than clams.
Okay, any other questions or discussion? Okay, relative to Article 28, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it passes unanimously and therefore satisfies the 2/3 requirement. Article 29, to see if the town will vote to borrow or otherwise provide for a sum up to $399,900 for the purpose of purchasing a replacement for a Bernardston Highway Department truck and all costs incidental and related thereto. And further, to authorize the treasurer with the approval of the select board to borrow pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 7, subparagraph 1, or any other enabling authority said sum or portion thereof for the purposes set forth herein, and to issue bonds and notes therefore, and further to authorize the Select Board and other appropriate public officials to take all actions necessary to effect the purposes of this article, provided, however, that this appropriation and debt authorization be contingent upon passage of a Proposition 2.5 debt exclusion referendum under General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 21C, subparagraph K, or take any vote or votes in relation thereto.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion, any questions? Okay, all in favor of 29?
Mr. Moderator.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have two questions. How long is this note going to take to pay off? And how long is this truck going to last? Thank you.
Can we speak to the highway superintendent? Is that a
Yeah?
town resident?
Okay, the highway superintendent's going to answer your questions.
Brian Miner, Highway Superintendent. Our expected lifespan of this truck should be about 15 to 20 years. I'm not sure about the loan itself.
They won't let us go that long forever. We're not allowed to go that long on a loan for a vehicle.
So it appears the truck's going to last longer than the loan.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, any other questions or comments? And this requires a 2/3 vote.
I'd just like to say something.
Yeah, okay, the town clerk?
Just so you all understand that this is contingent on going to a question ballot at an election. So just want you to know that this isn't a done deal until we have the question appear on a ballot.
That's the same for the fire truck before this.
Okay, voting on the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously and therefore satisfies the 2/3 requirement. Article 30, to see if the town will vote to add to the Bernardston Revolving Fund bylaw in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E and 1/2, as stated in the following table, or take any vote or votes relative thereto.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. So all in favor of Article 30? Please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Article 30 passes unanimously. Article 31, to see if the town will vote to authorize the following spending limits for revolving funds in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E and 1/2, and the Town of Bernardston bylaw for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026, or take any vote or votes in relation thereto.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded.
Comment?
Yeah.
The zoning board, wherever they are on this list, zoning board of appeals, line 3, ask for an increase of $1,000 in their spending limit. So that's the only change to that table.
So you're saying that we're going to vote, you want us to vote on $3,000?
No, I'm saying the 2,000 you're seeing is an you're voting them an increase.
Oh, okay. Okay, any questions with respect to Article, what are we, 31? Okay, any questions with respect to Article 31? There appearing to be none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 31 passes unanimously. Article 32, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Select Board to dispose of any town property that is declared surplus by the Select Board according to the law, or take any other action relative thereto.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Article 32, yes.
Quick question. Stuart Scannell, 38 Depot. Is there a threshold for the disposal of the property? Like, are we talking equipment, or are we talking, for instance, parcels? I know that we've got a few, I believe, floating out there.
Yeah, you fell off a little bit there.
Sorry, here we go. No, I'm just curious if there's a threshold for the disposal of the property. Is this relative to town equipment, or is it more relative to, I know that we're going to be talking about the former fire station and whatever's attached to that.
Mass General Law, Chapter 30B, has set limits on how you dispose of property depending on the value of it. Real property, if it's over $35,000, has to be bid in a certain way. There's $10,000 and $50,000 thresholds on personal property. So when you put in according to law, essentially, if it's under that, they do 3 phone bids, or they use best business practices, then they jump up to bid proposals for personal property and RFPs for land. So yes, there's very specific statute that governs that.
Okay, any other questions, comments relative to Article 32? Appearing there is none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 32 passes unanimously. Article 33, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Select Board to take any necessary actions to remove and dispose of the building located to the left and directly behind Town Hall, including but not limited to contracting for demolition services, site restoration, and related expenses, or take any other action relative thereto.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded, yes.
Polly Reed, 8 Center Street. This is the old Hearst house. The historical context is not really important here. It used to house the old hearse, the horse-drawn hearse, back in the day. My question is everything else has a number to it, and there's no number on this, like there's no thought, or it was like a homework assignment that's not quite complete. Everything else has been budgeted for, and I didn't know if you were looking to get some bids on it or something. It just seems incomplete. Full disclosure, where I live, 2 sides of that Hearst house borders my property. By the way, I don't mind if it goes. I could use a little sun in my backyard. But I was just concerned about the actual cost of taking it down.
Yeah, I can answer that. Our highway department's going to take it down. They have to pay for disposal of the building when they do it, and they have to rent a piece of equipment to do it. It's going to come at a cost of $6,800, and it's money we already have in an account through the Renovate Construct account
Okay.
to help pay for that.
Okay, thank you. And then for site restoration, would that be like for new asphalt or?
Nope, they're going to use reground blacktop. Typically, communities around the county, when they're reclaiming roads, they offer it free to anybody that would like to come truck it while they're going through that process in their communities. Last year, we got 1,000 ton of it, which we did the new fire station parking lot with to bring it up to grade. That was all free to the community, other than having to truck it. They're going to do the similar idea in this property. when
Thank
they're
you.
done.
I think it was just a little discerning not
Yep.
seeing a number there.
For sure.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions or discussion relative to Article 33? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 33 passes unanimously. Article 34, to see if the town will vote to endorse an act establishing Medicare for all Massachusetts, House 1405, Senate 860 legislation, which is currently pending before the Massachusetts General Court, and will communicate its support to our state senators and representatives or take any action relative thereto. And this is a petition, private petition. So anybody, first we need a motion. Is there a motion to vote on this?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. So yes, if you wish to be heard, please come to the microphone.
Thank you. My name is Louise Legui-Deaver at 101 Ho Shop Road. I'm here to present a Bernardston citizen petition to endorse Act 1405, which is referred to as mass care. We've all heard here tonight issues with healthcare costs rising. It's busting the budgets, not just of our towns, causing cuts in personnel. It's across the state, and it's a very serious concern. We've heard increases of 20%. So we have solutions, and I'm really happy to stand here tonight to offer a way to reduce costs and not to have to make draconian choices between the welfare of our elders and those of our youth, which sounds grotesque to me to have to make that kind of choice. It's wrong. The Boston Globe has reported that this nightmare is happening across the state. So 20 other municipalities so far, and 20 or 25 more, have already endorsed this nonpartisan, non-binding resolution, which is merely saying our town's in favor of this, but we don't have to spend any money. Yay. So why are our costs so high? Because we have a multi-layer system of multi-payers. So there's multiple actors, each taking a cut, having a profit margin. So that's one part of the problem in our healthcare cost. The other side of the problem is we don't have enough leverage to negotiate costs. The option that the Mass Care Coalition has been working on and studying in great depth for over 30 years is to create instead a Massachusetts health trust, which would become a single payer. So that trust, I will talk about how it's funded. You have a great deal more information in this flyer as well. But briefly, I want to say that across the state, a 2026 study, economic study undertaken by UMass, estimated that we were wasting $55 billion with a B in the state of Massachusetts on unnecessary administrative marketing costs, inflated prices of drugs, inflated billing problems, frauds, etc. So what does it translate to in our town budget? Thanks to Susan Bobby, our treasurer, for the detail on this. Under a single-payer system for the town of Bernardston, just to talk about the employees covered, we would save $100,000. That's not the whole shortfall for our school budget or for other items. But $100,000 means a lot in a budget for our town. Leiden would save for 3 employees over $40,000. So we're not talking insignificant. And for all the other residents, not just the town employees, anybody making less than $1 million could save up to 25% in healthcare costs. And what would we get for that? Comprehensive medical, dental, long-term care. Woohoo, now we're talking. No co-pays, no co-insurance, no deductibles. What kind of healthcare, world are we in now? We're not dreaming. This has been studied for 30 years. Not only that, but you continue to choose your own provider. So some of us here in this area may have providers in Vermont, for example. That would be still possible. If you wanted concierge medicine, you may have to get an additional coverage. Okay, so gold-plated version still available, not part of this system. What we'd be getting above all would be universal healthcare coverage, equitable and universal. When everybody's healthy, everybody's healthy. So if one kid in the class is sick, everybody gets sick and then they bring it home. You know the drill. So a healthy population benefits everyone, young and elder alike. We don't have to choose. So how is this funded? 3 ways: a payroll tax shared by employers and employees, 7.5% to 8% depending on the size of the business. 100 or more employees would be 8% payroll tax. 2.5% payroll tax for employees. So I'm sorry, the first one was employers. Second figure, 2.5% employees. That's one source of funding. Second source of funding, 10% tax on capital gains and self-employed income. The third source of funding is Medicare and Medicaid funds. So again, based on solid economic data, from the top, statewide, we would save $30 billion. So you can just imagine the things we could do for our schools, our fire departments, our highway departments, our police departments, with $30 billion. Then we would reinvest $25 billion in expanded coverage, modern technology. Our current healthcare system is not only probably the highest, most expensive in the world, but it doesn't have very good outcome. We can do better. So we get to stand to pay less and get more. So it's time to tell the state we need real fixes. Don't let the insurance companies and the pharmaceutical company that are harvesting enormous profit allow our healthcare system to be a profit center. We need a healthcare that is focused on public health, on the health of all of us. We also, at town level and household level, are no longer able to sustain the increases in cost with the current system. We cannot any longer put Band-Aids on broken private health insurance model. It's time for a change. Thank you.
Okay, so what you're being asked to do here is a yes vote would indicate the town's support for the state legislation. A no vote would indicate that the town does not support the legislation. So this is not we're not actually having a binding vote in the sense of actually enacting something. It's just that the town would go on record as being in favor or against it. Yes.
Dan Garland, 95 Hillcrest Drive, Bernardston. I don't know, there's a lot of information that I think is missing here. I don't think I could vote for this.
Can't hear you.
I don't think I could vote for this. One of the reasons being is that you talk about how you tell this is being paid, increase in taxes, increase in capital gain tax, another hit on the old people. I just can't see, and another thing we look at is, how about the doctors?
No, he talks and then you respond.
Are we going to have the doctors around still? Because the doctors really don't like Medicare because they don't get the money that they think they should get. So we already have a problem in our county that we're having problems with getting health care because we don't have enough doctors, enough nurses, and all that good stuff. So I don't think this is the way to go. I know we need to fix a health care problem, but I think they're missing a lot, and I'm tired of paying more and not getting any more for what I'm paying. 14% increase tonight was enough for me.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
I do have a question for, I'm sorry, I forgot her name, Louise. I do have a question. In here, it's you had mentioned, I'm sorry, not in here. You had mentioned if I had a doctor in Vermont, it would still be covered. What about traveling? What if I was in Texas?
I can't answer that, how far of a radius would be covered, but I believe if you're traveling away on vacation, you would certainly be reimbursed. So there would be a system where the healthcare trust would, try to get coverage for you, and if they couldn't get, a similar coverage then they would cover it in this state. So maybe I can ask someone else to answer that specific question. But I just want to get back to the earlier point. If you're looking exclusively at new sources of funding in the form of payroll taxes or capital gain taxes, without looking at all the costs that you are saving, your co-pays, your premiums, everything else, then that's not right, because you're not looking at both sides of the equation, okay? So as I've said, most everybody would stand to have reduced costs, except in some situations when you're making a great deal of money.
Okay, thank you.
Move the question.
Yeah, you had a question?
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify, because
Yeah,
I know
your name is?
Stuart Scannell, 38 Depot, sorry.
Thanks.
Just in terms of the travel thing, I know I have dealt with that in the past in terms of having private insurance. Health New England, it's often a regional-based plan. You typically would just buy travel insurance. And I'm also now a state employee with GIC, or getting GIC with my premiums paid. I'm still paying a lot, but there's usually ways that they'll work around. You'll get emergency care anywhere, but generally speaking, they'll outline a fairly decent-sized region, and then you work within that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, very quickly.
I just want to very briefly address the point about a single-payer system possibly jeopardizing the number of doctors or hospitals we may have around the state of Vermont. Very recently, a few years back, got very close to passing a single-payer system. And the insurance company lobbies made sure that didn't happen for obvious reasons. Today, there is a major healthcare crisis in Vermont. Hospitals are closing, and providers are disappearing, and the nurses are begging for a single-payer system because it's the only thing that's going to keep providers around. I mean, the system we have has been tried and tested, and we know we're not probably too far away from Vermont.
Okay, thank you. Okay, what we're being asked to do here is a request has been made that the town go on record on supporting something. This is an extremely complicated issue. I mean, the whole idea of medical care, to think that we can really learn about it in 15 minutes at the end of a long meeting is really kind of unrealistic. You've got to decide whether, with what you know, you want to go on record or have the town go on record is supporting this, or on the contrary, that either you don't support it or you don't know enough about it. So that's really what it comes down to. So with that in mind, I'm going to ask for a vote. All in favor of the town going on record is supporting this legislation, please say aye. Aye. All those who are opposed?
No.
Well, I think we're going to have another stand because I can't tell from the ayes and nays who has it. So all in favor, please stand. Yeah.
They weren't as loud.
Now, just very quickly.
Not half as many to count, though.
Yeah.
No, there's half the amount to count.
There's no running out the door right now.
If you have people stand like this, and it's pretty obvious, them sit down and the people. I'm
standing up, I
No,
got the
because
VA.
you can't assume the number here. That's what happened for the other vote, too. You know, we had 117 people on the regular schedule.
Yeah,
A lot
it's-
of people have left. You just can't make that assumption. There's X number of people in the hall right now.
Just half an hour ago, Jane, you told me you were gonna contest the
I know,
vote for me
that's
making an
right.
assumption.
That's right, that's right. Now she wants you to make it.
Yeah, jeez, you're trying to get me in trouble.
I'm asking
You
for
need
details.
clickers.
I'm asking for details.
You did best in
Yeah,
clickers.
you know how much those are?
Yeah,
Jane
but
wouldn't let us get those.
they're great clickers.
Just informational.
Don't forget me.
Did you get the one?
Okay, anybody on the table wish to be seen in favor of this?
I was.
Yeah, he was. We had
He
one.
did.
Okay,
He
we have
voted.
one. Okay.
I'm telling you, those clickers really are.
What are clickers?
I'm not going to vote
They're
because I have no idea.
electronic systems.
Oh, well, like the what you
Has a clicker and then 2/3 automatically registers on the machine.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, okay, you can, please sit down. All those who are opposed, or, please stand.
Counts don't happen anymore, you know.
They lose.
It registers 2/3.
Stand up, raise my hand.
Thousands of dollars being.
Yeah, no, it is.
Okay.
The electronic part of it's not that big, yeah. It's
And
not
then
that big.
somebody gets in with the
No, the electronic part of it's very easy. It's really effective.
It's also easy for.
It's just gonna be the V for everybody.
Take that home.
No, it's not.
No, my name's spelled wrong. Oh, is it really?
That's not true.
I spelled Jeff with a G. Yo, that's true.
The clickers really register and you can see it.
Have to see what it looks like on the ballot.
It's exciting. But it saves an enormous amount of time.
Chris, are you standing?
Jane is.
Jane?
I
Count
am.
Jane. Jane's standing. Jane's standing.
I'm standing, can't you see it?
Are you really reading?
Just because I'm short doesn't mean. It's getting dark here. Do you need another one?
Well, you know, and there's a new edition, and I keep threatening to buy the new edition, but I've had this since I started practicing 45 years ago, so it's really hard.
I have the new edition. I haven't read it yet.
I know, you know, it's not that different,
Well, it's just, it's a lot bigger.
but, you know, I need to buy the new edition, but, you know.
But
Okay, on Article 34, there were 35 in favor and 20 opposed, so it passes. And the town will be instructed to indicate that the support of the legislation. 35 to 20.
Huh?
what's this state?
She can get a certified vote. Okay.
Okay. Moving on to Article 35, to see if the town will vote to have its elected Recreation Commission become an appointed Recreation Commission appointed by the Select Board pursuant to the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 1B, or take any other action relative thereto.
Are they here?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
This is only the first part of the vote. This has to go to the annual election to be confirmed. The same way as when we changed the town clerk and the treasurer from elected to appointed. It was a town meeting vote, and then it was a vote at the polls. This is the same thing.
And the Recreation Commission.
So this is step one, and nothing changes.
This just gets it on the ballot.
Gets it on the ballot, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, with that understanding that this is just the first step in this process, does anybody else want to be heard with respect to it? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it passes unanimously, which brings us to Article 36, to see if the town will vote to authorize pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 268A, Section 20D, 2 members of the Recreation Commission be appointed to paid positions of the Recreation Commission. Said permission permitting members of the Recreation Commission to be eligible for paid employment with the town of Bernardston without being subject to the 1-year waiting period otherwise required by law. Said exemptions to apply solely to the positions of recreation operations manager, ROM, and summer camp director. And further, to require the members appointed to such positions to file the necessary written disclosures with the town clerk in accordance with the statute, or take any action relative thereto.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Yeah?
Does this have to wait for the vote, or does this happen without the vote?
Yeah, Donna?
268A is the conflict of interest law. And in order to have board members be appointed to positions that they would essentially supervise, it takes a town meeting vote. And it has to happen annually. This would be an annual vote as well. Frequently, it happens with boards of health, because Board of Health member becomes the health agent in the town, and so you have to have it that way because Board of Health can't appoint one of their own as a health agent without the town being informed that this is happening. It's just a protection and a full disclosure under the conflict of interest law, and is allowed in smaller towns where you don't have so many individuals to hold these positions that we don't sometimes have to use people that are involved in the departments to hold the positions.
Okay, anything
That
for,
answer it?
yes?
Hi, I'm Jennifer Stennis, 338 Ball Mountain Road. This actually pertains to me. I'm on the rec board. I also run the summer camp every single year for the past 6 years. So without this passing, it would be really difficult for our town to have a camp, because to find a direct director in the next month is a little impossible.
Okay, anybody else?
I know it's getting late. Ron Fulton, Fox Hill. As somebody mentioned about a previous thing, yeah, we're going to pay these people, but it doesn't say how much. So I'm just asking, what's it going to cost?
That was in a previous article within the rec budget, what those
Passed
positions
the
pay.
recreation budget several articles ago. I don't remember the article number, but that was a $15,000 amount for the two positions. Find the article?
Okay.
Sorry.
It's the first article after the tables, whatever number that is. It's the first article that does not have a table.
Article 12.
Thank you. It was $16,686.10, and that is to cover 3 salaries. The 2 that are mentioned in this article and the clerk. And I can give you the details on that if you need to have it.
Okay, does that answer your question? Yes, thank you very much. Okay.
I will say to that, the rec department also raises money through the registration fees to help cover some of that cost.
No, it doesn't cover any of that.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion relative to Article 36? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 36 passes unanimously. Article 37, to see if the town will vote to amend the Bernardston zoning bylaws, Article Roman numeral 2, Section 2.5, accessory dwellings, in order to bring the bylaw into compliance with the Massachusetts Affordable Homes Act enacted on August 6, 2024, or take any other action relative thereto.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Does somebody want to lead us through this, or?
Somebody from the planning board?
Apparently not.
No.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Chris.
I guess
One of you.
Here we go again. Ron Fulton, Planning Board Chair. We've worked on this bylaw amendment for a long time, and we've made many requests of the legal counsel for the town regarding our amendments to it. We made sure that it's all legal, and we are simply trying to comply with what Massachusetts state legislature has deemed appropriate, with some subtle variations pertaining to what we think is reasonable for the citizens of this town. So we've worked hard on this. We think it's good to go, and we hope you approve. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else wish to be heard with respect to Article 37? There being no desire for discussion, we'll put it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 37 passes unanimously. Whoop. Yeah, it passes unanimously, and therefore it satisfies the requirement of a 2/3 vote. Okay, I think we've come to the end of the trail. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay.
Thank you all for coming.
There being no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.